guys, Grüße aus Deutschland, greetings from Germany on this Sunday afternoon. Here's a little bit of an updatey poo from my neck of the woods. Fasching week is over, there were no incidents. On my way home from work, I saw a whole bunch of people in costumes, and several of them were heavily intoxicated and singing, but I had no interactions and no problems with them. I wanted to film at work at Central Station Monday morning, but it was really cold, and it was the same Tuesday and Wednesday, and so I went inside to warm up. And I do not film around strangers. They walk into your background, and I don't want to film them, and so I didn't want to take a chance, and so I didn't film at Central Station this week. About things I deal with in private that you guys know I usually don't talk about. I haven't mentioned it in a while, but my parents are old and their health is deteriorating. My mother fell a couple of weeks ago. She was in the hospital for a week and a half. The doctor's assessment was that my mother is now completely disoriented. It's dementia and there's not much that can be done. And I don't want to get too much into the details, but it's sad when you see someone that nature has forced you to look up to as a child or in your childhood years regresses to a point where they don't even know who they are anymore or where they are, what time it is, and stuff like that. And it's been making me think. For example, there's a huge theater in my hometown. It's not a movie theater, it's the kind with a stage where you can watch actors, put on a play. The city has been renovating it since I got back from the States in 2018. And this week I took a different bus after work and I ended up seeing that theater again. And they are completely changing the way it looks. My parents, my sister, and I often, countless times walked by it during my childhood. And I remember my sister and I, and sometimes friends that were with us, playing on a statue, a huge statue that was in front of it. And that statue is now gone. And all of that kind of brings up thoughts of how everything is changing, how little it actually matters what was, and how fast time is passing by. That's something that I've realized lately. My parents are basically at the end of their lives. My sister and I are in our 50s. My daughter is in her late 20s and my niece is in her 30s. Both of, my daughter and my niece live in the States. Once my parents have died, my sister and I are next in the family to, go. And that kind of puts what you're doing with your life into perspective a little bit more, even more than I usually pay attention to it, even though I consider myself a pretty self-aware person. But it does seem like the older I get, the more I make peace with my number being up one day. When I was younger, I thought, oh my gosh, such a tragedy when you die. And it seems like to me, the older I get, the less I'm scared of it. It's just, it's just a part of being on this planet. It's temporary. It's not permanent. And I've kind of come to make peace with that. I also keep consoling myself with the thought that I can retire in about 8 to 12 years in Germany, but I don't really want to do that. I had a colleague that was always talking about what all he's going to do once he's retired, and then he died at the age of 59, which meant that he never made it to the time that he kept living for, But he was enjoying his life. He was going on vacations and stuff like that. But he always seemed to talk about, that time that he was looking forward to. And so I wanna pay it more attention to enjoying life on a daily basis and appreciating the small things in life, like oh my gosh, I got to wake up again. I have a job with which I can pay my bills. I have a comfy bed. I have nice entertainment electronics here. I have eyes with which I can read books, and that whole concept of gratitude and enjoying the moment has been very important to me, and I'm trying to even intensify that more. But because of the latest developments with my parents, a lot of thoughts have been circling around age, around decline of health, which seems to be inevitable, and getting my affairs in order just in case. Because for those of you that have been watching my videos, you know that when I got the Moderna shot, which was the third COVID vaccination, I thought I would die. I was shaking violently. I could not. I had problems walking to the bathroom. It lasted for about a day or two, as far as I remember. And so that was a time when I thought I have to sit down and do, prepare my last will. And then the next time was last October, when I had violent a cold symptoms, flu symptoms, and to a degree where I could barely think straight anymore. And so with my parents, developing in the way that they are, I've been thinking about that. And my sister and I even had a talk this week about how we would handle things if one of us passed. How fast do we notify the daughter of the other one that's that has passed, and stuff like that. And these are not easy thoughts to have, but I guess it's all part of us being here. Life is not permanent, and when your number is up, it's up, and you might as well make preparations for that. As a young child, I probably wouldn't have thought that I have these kind of thoughts in my 50s, even though at the time I thought 50s is old already. But yeah, I don't feel bad about thinking about these things. I think it's just natural. And yet, when I look back at what hopes my generation had for humanity, and looking at the current state of life on this planet, one tends to wonder. And what happened, in what direction is humanity going? And others that are even younger than me seem to be doing the same. Here's a clip of Tom MacDonald. He's 34 years old, so exactly 20 years younger than me. And he's an amazing artist that's been trying to wake up the masses with his amazing lyrics. And I want to share a YouTube short with you that he made.
My generation got our driver's license at 14, had a job at 16, and moved out at 17. Your generation is still trying to define what a woman is and living in your parents' basement until you're 35. My generation grew up on uncensored everything. Your generation censors everything. My generation shot guns, rode dirt bikes, and went camping for fun. Your generation stares at your phone all day and dances on the internet in your sister's underwear. My generation knew how to make decisions, important ones. Your generation can't even decide which bathroom to use. My generation wants the truth and the facts, no matter how uncomfortable they are. Your generation is so offended that the truth and the facts don't support whatever outlandish bull is floating around in your imagination that you've started labeling everything that you don't agree with as misinformation. My generation has 2 genders. Your generation has 89,347. And counting. My generation judges people on whether or not they're an asshole. Your generation judges people on race, weight, religion, sex, gender, financial standing, something that they tweeted 20 years ago in grade 8 when they were drunk for the first time. Your generation cancels everything you don't agree with. My generation doesn't give a about the things we don't agree with. Beat it, loser. My generation fights for the right to party. Your generation doesn't fight, doesn't like having rights, and doesn't like to party. What the is wrong with you guys?
And so it's partially funny, but partially true, what is going on, what the development is. But you can always look at things from the negative side or the positive side, and I try to stay in the middle lane a little bit, because not everything that's happening is positive, and it's also not all negative. But seeing hundreds of students every morning, every single morning I go to work, I see hundreds of students at Central Station and downtown after work, having their eyes glued to their blue light devices. And it makes me less hopeful for the future of humanity, but I keep pushing myself to think or to keep in mind that there are others that have not mentally gone to sleep yet, and they are doing things to change life on this planet. Um, then I also I push myself to always improve my own life and to improve myself, and I've been thinking about ways to improve my everyday life with the help of devices or whatever. And upon the recommendation of colleagues, I'm getting myself a Bluetooth dongle, so that I can use my wireless headphones, or those earbuds that I use in connection with my phone, in connection with my desktop computer, which means that I have the whole variety of music that I have on my desktop computer available when I want to choose a song to do my household chores to. And I like that a lot better. And plus, it's a lot faster to use the mouse on a huge monitor and pick a song than having the cell phone there and on the smaller display, having to scroll down or do a search and then type in a word to find a song. And so I find that a lot more practical. And another thing I'm going to afford myself is an Android smartwatch. Android because I don't have an iPhone, I have an Android phone. And often at work, I move throughout the building to pick up, for example, office supplies, deliveries from receiving, which is on the far back of the building. Or I pick up things from other departments, or bring things to other departments. And since the reception actually has to be manned nonstop, I put a note on the reception door, on the outside door, for people to call my private cell phone if anyone unannounced wants to enter the building. And I don't like carrying my cell phone around, and so a a smartwatch would help with that. Um, I would see that there's somebody at the door by seeing that there's a missed phone call, by the number that I don't recognize, and it would show the number that is called, and I could return to the reception immediately. Also, it would keep me from having to whip out my phone every time I want to know how much time I have until the bus comes. Do I have to speed up my walk, or can I stroll and take my time? It would just take a glance at my wrist, like, it used to be when I only had a wrist and no phone at my disposal. These things, these smartwatches also measure the blood pressure and heart rate, and since I'm monitoring my blood pressure anyway, this would be a really practical function for me. I'm not so much interested in the sleep monitor because I would not wear a watch at night. I can't stand having anything on me. I don't wear any jewelry at night, and so yeah, I would probably just check it out to see what the sleep monitor thinks it did monitor, or if it's even correct, but maybe on a weekend. My family, friends, and I communicate via Facebook Messenger, and so I would see right away if I have received any messages. And with an Android smartwatch, I would just take one glance at the wrist as opposed to always whipping out my phone to check. So that would be practical. The smartwatch that I'm planning on getting also has a step counter, but I'm not sure how that is supposed to work when I also ride the bus, several miles, every day. And so if the smartwatch goes by distance based on Wi-Fi, riding the bus should confuse the watch. But I shall see. I'm going to check it out. Other than that, it would be interesting to see how many steps I do take every day, and it's got to be thousands because the building that I work in alone is very large, and I move around it, constantly or often, and so it would be interesting to see how many steps I actually take. And so, yeah, I'm actually looking forward to playing around with that thing once it comes in the mail, and I'm gonna keep you up to date. Other than that, work was uneventful. I mean, it's always crazy there because there's over 500 people working there, most of which admittedly are still in home office. But that doesn't mean that they're permanently in home office. They do come in and, and oh, I lost my badge and this and that. And, you guys told me I received an important letter and can I get that? And so it's always busy. And this week I was filling in for the other receptionist, making up for the hours she missed. She's on a short-term rehab, as I mentioned in my last video. And so she'll be back on Wednesday, I think. So I'll still be filling in for her until then. And so, yeah, I've been thinking a lot. It's like full-blown winter time in Germany this weekend. It's extremely cold. It's below freezing again. And we did have some nice sunny days last week, though. I enjoyed that. And since I'm taking vitamin D to make up for the lack of sunlight, I always make sure that when the sun does shine that I take walks in the sunlight, or at the bus stop that I just, stand there and soak up the sun and take the next bus. And yeah, but for me, it's kind of a time where I think about things a lot, where I try to improve things. And I did mention to you guys that I ordered myself another kind of allergy medication, and I've been taking that, but as you could just hear, my nose is still a little stopped up, and the coughing has gotten a lot better. And so I'm really thinking that what I had at the beginning of February wasn't really just like a virus infection, like a flu virus, but it was a little bit of both, like allergies in connection with the cold virus. And so I'm feeling a lot better. My voice is still not back to normal, but it hasn't been since October, and so maybe this is a permanent thing. I don't know. But I'm still coughing a lot during the day, not every few minutes, but here and there, and then the coughing spells are really bad. But it's a lot better than before. And so I'm guessing it's a process, and I'm trusting the process. And yeah, so this is it from me for this week. I'm gonna try to film myself, a short little clip from downtown or whatever this week, just to, affirm to you guys I still exist on the physical plane, and I'm not, hailing from some parallel dimension where I do not inhabit a body anymore. All right, you guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for listening to this. Let me know how you guys are doing, what you've been thinking about, or what you're changing in your life. Oh, and if you have a smartwatch, please let me know how happy you are with yours and which one it is and what functions you like to use the most. But I'm really amazed what these things can do. And I think it would really justify having something on my wrist, like instead of having to get the phone out whenever I want to know what time it is, and pushing that button, that on button to see what time it is or when the bus is coming. That alone would be such an immense improvement. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing around with that. All right, now I'm going to go. Thank you for listening to this, and I will see you in my next one. Have a great week, and I hope you had a great weekend and you got some good quality time in, some, relaxing time. And I'll talk to you soon. Tschüssi. Bye-bye.